Good morning, Jim. Good morning to you, sir. Today, folks, we have with us Karen Vaughn. She's a Gold Star mother. She lost her son Aaron in 2011 in Afghanistan. She will be on the show with us today. On the second half of the show, we're going to go over this whole drone mess. What is happening out there? What are we being told? What are the theories?
There's nothing to worry about.
Nothing to see here. And one former rhino, current rhino, has a theory on what they are. We'll show you what that is. And then a special tribute at the end to our favorite fan, that's for sure. So that and so much more, Jim, on another episode of What?
Live from the Patriot Prayer Network studios, it's two guys. It's one coup.
Be right back. Again, good morning to everybody. I don't know if I'm having internet issues, but am I good, Jim? Looking good?
All right. Good.
Thank you. We will get into some of the stories we talked about in the opening later, but right now we want to bring on our guest, Karen Vaughn. A little bit about Karen. She's a Gold Star mom who has spoken to Congress, 2 sitting presidents, and at the 2016 Republican National Convention. Karen lost her son, Aaron. Was killed in action in Afghanistan in 2011. We certainly want to hear about Aaron and what had happened that day. Also, we want to talk about Pete Hegseth, our current nominee for Defense Secretary, and the lies that are being spread about him. Nobody knows more than Karen does about that. So, Jim, if you don't mind bringing Karen up, we will. Good morning.
Hi, gentlemen. How are you?
Good. Can you hear us? Are you good?
Yep.
Excellent.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's an honor, true honor, for you to join us here today. We do appreciate it.
That's a really cool background, though.
Thank you.
That cool. Is absolutely.
Thank you for his service.
And the sacrifice and your family sacrifice. That's for sure.
Thank you.
Let's start off with, if you don't mind, kind of reviewing your background, who you are, who Aaron was, and what happened on that day, and then how that kind of drove you towards, I would say, advocacy at this point,
right.
And writing a book. I think you co-authored a book with Sean Hannity, did you not, as well?
Well, he wrote the foreword for me. I wrote the book.
He did. He wrote the foreword. Okay, good.
Yep.
Well, please. The floor is yours, Karen. Again, thank you. True honor to have you here.
Thank you. It's an honor to be with you.
Thank you.
So just going back, Billy and I were just regular parents, right? Just going about business, doing our thing. And Aaron had been a Navy SEAL for 9 years, had been on multiple deployments, all combat tours, was a very experienced operator, had been with SEAL Team 6 for a little over a year at this time. This was, I think, his 5th combat deployment. And it was going to be a short one. It was going to be a 4-month deployment. We had plans to all meet together. We've been living in Florida for almost 30 years, but our family is still back in West Tennessee. And so we had plans to all go to West Tennessee for Thanksgiving. It was an easy one. You know what I mean? It never crossed my mind that it would be dangerous. He and I had beautiful conversation. The last night I was with him on Earth, up in DC, and we had gone up to see him. We had just celebrated his 30th birthday. His second child had just been born, and he was leaving for deployment. And so, everything was just normal, happy, wonderful, wonderful family. Just the last person that, you just never imagine this happening. And so 6 weeks, he was deployed for 6 weeks. And we woke up on a Saturday morning, August 6th, and my husband was in British Columbia, 3,500 miles away from home. And he called me at 7:30 in the morning, and I was kind of ticked off because it was Saturday.
Yeah.
And his voice just sounded really frightened, and I had no idea what he was about to tell me. And he said, "Listen, I need to tell you something, and I don't want to." And of course, then I just went into this panic,
Sure.
And he said there was a helicopter shot down in Afghanistan last night. And the more details they're giving about it on the news, the more it sounds like it could be Aaron's team. And I just started saying, "What do you want me to do?" And he said, "Just see if you can reach him." We had Skype at the time, his Skype was active, couldn't reach him, started trying to reach his friends, couldn't reach them. It was just 1 hour of just absolute panic, terrifying panic, asking people to pray for us, calling friends to see if we could find him, find out any information. It was only 1 hour later when I had called his wife. Kimberly was staying with her parents up in Virginia on this deployment because, as I said, she had just had their second child.
Yeah.
That baby girl was only 9 weeks old at the time.
Wow.
And so I had called her parents' house that morning, trying not to bring her into this, just talking to them about it. She was still asleep. And this third time I called her, Dad answered the phone, and he said, "Karen, it's bad." And I said, "Yeah, I know. He goes, "No, listen to me." And I can never say these words without breaking down, so forgive me. He said, "Listen to me." He said, "Aaron was on the helicopter, and there are no survivors." And in a moment like that, you just literally feel separated from your body. Your mind wasn't built to process that kind of news. Parents aren't supposed to bury their children. I know this no matter what situation it is, but it just seemed especially hard because he was so far away from us, 7,000 miles away from everybody he loved. But I want to say this, and I always want to add this in. Aaron was a devout believer. Actually, most of the men, if not all of the men on 2 Troop Gold Squad, were profound men of faith. And so he died with a whole bunch of saints, and they all went to heaven together. I can't even imagine what that was like.
Yeah.
And, I knew that before that helicopter, hit the ground that night, I knew he'd been welcomed into the arms of God, and I knew where he was, and that gave us great comfort. And there's so much to his story, and I don't know how much of that you want to get into, but it's
as much as you want to get into.
So it's a beautiful story of faith and overcoming. Aaron was a really good football player in high school. Ended up being scouted by some colleges, not big ones, but Division II schools, and he had always though planned on being a SEAL. Since the time he was 8 years old, he told anybody who would listen to him that that's what he was going to do. And most people just laughed because as a kid, he was 6'2" when he died and weighed 220 pounds. But up until high school, he was about 160 pounds soaking wet, size 13 feet that he tripped over all the time, but it just didn't seem reasonable. He didn't have the stature of what you would think, for a Navy SEAL. But anyway, he started filling out that body, and like I said, became a really good football player. And so the night before his first game of his senior season, he obliterated the ACL on his left knee in practice.
Boy.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it kind of finished the whole thing about being a college football player, but that was never his goal anyway. So it honestly didn't matter. He just wanted to have the surgery, recover, so he could go into the SEAL Challenge program as soon as he graduated. Well, so he did. And at 6'2", if you guys are athletic, you'll appreciate this. At 6'2", within 6 weeks of surgery, he was running a 4.40.
Wow.
He worked so hard to recover. It was insane. We would take off 40 yards in front of our house. He ran with parachutes. He had those special shoes. He was just getting fit to go to the SEAL Challenge program. Just before he graduated at 17 years old. Just before he graduated, he was playing a pickup game of basketball with some friends, came down wrong on that leg and obliterated the ACL again. All the ligaments. And so it was devastating. And the surgeon came out about 2 hours into the surgery, and he sat down with Billy, my husband, and I, and he said, Mr. and Mrs. Vaughn, I have terrible news. He said, there was nothing I could do to fix Aaron's knee. It's destroyed. He said, and he went on and explained what all happened, but apparently there was just so much damage. There was no bone left to attach a new ACL to. It was just obliterated. And so he said these words that I'll never forget. He said, unfortunately, he's going to spend the rest of his life somewhat handicapped, and he will never do anything physical again without the use of a special brace.
Wow.
You need to know that, because this is the God story in the whole thing. So Aaron, when he woke up from that anesthetic fog, he was literally felt like his life was over, but he was a man of faith, and he started trying to grasp it and trying to process, okay, God, maybe you had a different plan for me, and I just didn't understand. So he went to college. He had a great job forecast. He went into golf course management, and he worked at a really exclusive club down here in Florida, and his career was just taking off. And so everything had shifted. And as far as we knew, he had completely forgotten about the whole Navy SEAL thing. I mean, 3 years had passed, right? Or almost 4 years. And so 9/11 is what shifted it all. We didn't find out later, we didn't find out until later what had happened, but he came home on his 21st birthday after 9/11, and he sat down at the table across from Billy and I, and he said, Mom and Dad, I stopped by the Navy recruiter's office on the way home from work and joined the SEAL Challenge program. The first we'd heard of it. And we were just kind of silent for a while. And finally Billy spoke, and Billy's the encourager in our family. And he said, son, you'll never make it. What about you? And he said, Dad, this is just so precious, and I really like to tell this story. He said, Dad, I have always known this is what I was supposed to do with my life. I've always known it, and God has told me to go do it. And if he told me to go do it, I know I'll make it. Yeah. And so, it was a long journey, but just to cap it all off, he went through BUDS and made the wall that reads first time every time, which means you complete every single evolution required of you the first time you try it. Wow. He couldn't even tape his knee because it would have given away a secret. Of course, he lied to the military. He didn't tell them, his legs were hairy enough. It covered the scars, So anyway, he did all of that with no joint in his left knee. You talk about determination. And then he made it to SEAL Team 6. And that's the first time that he uncovered to the military what was going on with his knee. And they're like, dude, if you've done this much,
my God,
don't worry about your knee is not a problem. And so I say that to say, moving forward to August 6, 2011, there was no doubt in our mind that Aaron was doing exactly what he was created to do. At the exact time in history he was supposed to be there, and following God's path for his life. And that gave us tremendous comfort as we began kind of walking out the journey of him not being part of this world, which will never feel right. It'll never.
It can't feel right.
All military that serves needs to have respect. They earn that respect. But the SEALs and the forces, the special forces, they're the best of the best. I mean, they're the elite, and his sounds like that's exactly where he belonged with his determination and his
that seems like it being impossible for any. It seems like an impossible task for any human being to go through.
It was, to add to that, and I didn't realize how big of a deal this was, but he had a laser injury in his right eye. And so he wouldn't go get surgery. He wouldn't, because he didn't want to be out of the field. We were right in the heat of the war, right? And so I found out later that he had to retrain himself to shoot left-handed with his left eye.
Jeez, what? I mean, unbelievable.
He was determined to do what he was born to do, And so, I mean,
incredible, and said perfectly. I mean, that was God's intention.
Yeah, it was.
You can't get through that without divine intervention, right? I mean, there's something that was guiding him, and that was clearly what it was. That's an incredible, incredible story. I don't ever want to, nor can I put myself in your shoes, but I sympathize with you dearly. That's got to be one of the greatest losses a parent can ever feel.
It is. There's nothing like it. There's nothing. Yep. I lost my father when I was 39 years old, thought that was hard. That was nothing. It's nothing, compared to burying a child. It's just nothing. Correct. There's no comparison. It's not supposed to happen that way.
No, children are supposed to bury you, not
that's right. That's
it's unnatural. Right.
Yep. Go natural. Wow. So since that day and coping with it and trying to understand it and make sense of any of it, even make sense of how incredible Aaron was beyond what you even knew, right?
Right.
You've started foundations, you've been kind of an advocate. Tell us about that and getting involved with that and a foundation that you created
Yeah.
in Aaron's memory.
I'd love
Yeah.
to. I'll tell you about our organization first, because the other part of my story is going to go into what you want to talk
Sure.
about Pete, which I'm really
Mhm.
excited to talk
Okay.
about.
Good.
So in late 2012, after Aaron's death, like I said, he had left 2 little children behind, a son that was
Mhm.
was not quite 2, and a daughter that was 9 weeks old. His widow kept saying over and over again, "Who's going to teach my children to do the things that Aaron would have taught them?" When you marry a man in the military, you have an expectation of how your children are going to be raised, what
Correct.
they're going to be exposed to.
Mhm.
And Aaron's oldest, his sister closest to him, they were only 21 months apart, and they were best friends their whole life. She
Mhm.
kept feeling like she needed to do something to honor him. So we came together as a family. In late 2012, we founded Operation 300, which primarily holds extreme adventure camps for children who've lost a parent in the war on terror.
Okay.
And now we're opening it up to LEOs. We're beginning those camps
Nice.
now. Now that the war is over, our children are aging out. We've had some of the most beautiful stories from this organization, and it just grows and grows and grows.
Mhm.
But I encourage all of your listeners to look up op300.org,
Mhm.
Operation 300,
Absolutely.
founded in Aaron's honor. We hold retreats or expeditions, we call them,
Mhm.
for a largely overlooked part of America's Gold Star community, and that is Gold Star fathers. They get largely overlooked, and so we bring in Gold Star fathers from across the country
Nice.
too, and we let them shoot gators and go deep sea fishing, and
Yeah.
the kids do similar things. So
Mhm.
it's all about living in the spirit of Aaron, doing
Sure.
because he was a reckless, crazy maniac.
Yeah.
Always fun, always
Yeah.
fun, kept us laughing constantly,
Yeah.
but always on the edge of, we said, if he hadn't been for the good guys, he'd have been a great outlaw, because he was
Yeah. No kidding. Right.
deep with danger, deep
Yeah.
with all the right or wrong things, depending on
Mhm.
what kind of personality you have, so
Yeah. Yeah.
we founded Operation 300, and I knew personally that wasn't something that I was supposed to do. So
Mhm.
my husband and just those gut instincts, it's not something
Sure.
I just couldn't follow through with that. I had a different, like, if you want to say, calling on my life, and I knew what it was.
Mhm.
And that was to talk about the cost of freedom. And so
Yeah.
not, and to challenge people to respect freedom, to make
Mhm.
sure it's passed from this generation to the next, and make sure that everybody understands the tremendous cost that's been paid on their
Right.
behalf. And
Yeah.
in that war, the 20-year war on terror, never in our history have so many been protected by so few. Less than
Yes.
1/2% of our citizenry fought in that war. And
Correct.
it's crazy, because the rest of us were shopping while their lives were on the line,
Yeah.
while
Right.
they were dying
Mhm.
for us. We didn't even know what was
Correct.
going on. And so
Yep.
I became very compelled to do that. And as I started speaking out, I started getting some attention from different groups.
Mhm.
And one of them was Concerned Veterans for America. They invited me to come up to Orlando one day, because I lived
Yeah.
in South Florida. They said, "Hey, drive up and just, join our Defend Freedom tour for the day, and let's just kind of check each other out."
Mhm.
That turned into a 3-year journey with Concerned Veterans
Wow.
for America, fighting for veterans on Capitol Hill, for VA reform. We got tremendous legislation passed in those
Mhm.
3 years that I worked for Concerned Veterans for America. But out of that came some lifelong friendships that with people who now have gone on to do tremendous, amazing things. And one of those,
Yeah.
of course, is Pete Hegseth. He's not the
Yes.
only one who did it, but one of them is Pete. And I can say, let me just start by saying,
Sure.
if anybody tries to talk bad about Pete Hegseth, they might as well be talking bad about my son, because I freaking love Pete Hegseth.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
love everything about him. I love his flaws. I love his good stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
people
Yeah.
come into life and they're not perfect.
That-
We're not
Correct.
saying that. They're not people who ever make mistakes. But what I want to say about Pete is his character is
Mhm.
above reproach. Pete
Yep.
is one of the smartest men I've ever known. He's one of the kindest men I've ever known. He is one of the greatest people to go and connect with others and make sure that, like, he ran Concerned Veterans for America, but he never came in like he was above anybody
Sure.
there. He
Mhm.
came in asking for everybody's opinions. It was
Yep.
always a group conversation, and then the direction was always decided between everybody, and then Pete would take the charge and run with it,
Yes.
And
Yeah.
he's just that kind of person. He's a tremendous leader. And so when people started flinging out, accusations about rape, I was like, there is no
Oh.
way there is no way in hell that
Yeah,
happened.
correct.
It just
Mhm.
didn't happen.
Yep.
I know this man. And then when
Mhm.
they started talking about the drinking and the woman, I'm like, I was there. I,
Yep.
I would be in the car with Pete at 2:00 in the morning, driving to another city for events the next day. I
Yep.
was with Pete all the time. We were on a bus together for, I have no idea how many miles. We would fly to one city, and then we'd get on a bus and we'd spend the next, 4 days on the bus, stopping at hotels and sleeping at night. But I mean, together,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's just nothing you can say about his character that matches the accusations that are
Correct.
being slung about him. And I want to shout that from the mountaintops,
Good.
because he would be the best Secretary of Defense probably that this nation has ever known. And I say that with so much sincerity.
We talk about,
if you've got them about, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Good.
well, we always talk about he is going to be asked questions by congressmen and senators that did worse than what he was accused of doing. And they're going to be judging him.
They have a slush fund. They have
a hush money fund.
That irritates me.
A hush fund, slush fund. What are they?
Because you said it best. We've all done things in our life.
Nobody's perfect.
We are not perfect. We are not perfect by any stretch. Who is the man he is now?
Right.
It's like who
right.
I'm
Ask
a better
Jen
man
who
now
he is now. Ask his
than I
7
was
children
before.
who he is
Exactly.
now. Ask Samantha or his mother or anybody who knows him now, who he is now. And back in those days, there were, if there was any drinking at the bar after an event or anything like that, I never saw anything get out of control. Not once in my entire time with him. But remember too, he was a veteran who just got back from war.
Thank you.
With a bunch of other veterans who just got back from war. And yes, there were shots thrown back a couple nights, but there was nothing inappropriate. It was just pure fun. And I always tell all of them, they created so much healing in my heart just to live among a group of veterans like that, who cared about this country as much as I did, who cared about the things Aaron died for as much as I did. Those were 3 of some of the best years of my life that I spent with that group of men, Pete at the head of it. It was not, and we did great things. And by the way, I'm not going to name names, but some of the people pushing back against Pete helped them get elected. I was there and watched it. And so they really should, check their whatever these issues are that are making them question whether Pete's right for the job. They know dang well Pete's right for the job. Trust me.
Yeah. The good news is after
if you want to name names, they'll feel free. That's fine with us.
After he meets with them, they also like Joni Ernst in particular. He met with her. He met with Fetterman, and I do believe Fetterman is not admitting it, but I think Fetterman is probably going to vote to appoint him.
I do too.
When you meet him and talk to him, that's what's most important. Meet with him. I mean, Democrats aren't meeting with him; they don't care.
To know him, right? Don't listen to all the BS. We know about the propaganda that mainstream media throws.
We
on
sure
every
do.
Person. I mean, and again, it's just if you actually take time to know him, you're going to see that he's a warrior's warrior. He's going to be somebody that I can tell you this as a Gold Star mom. If Pete Hegseth had been at the helm while Aaron was fighting, I doubt Aaron would be dead. I mean that with all my heart. There were rules of engagement put in place on our warfighters that got my son killed, period. Just a very brief little nugget. There's such a big story around it. But the air weapons team overhead the night that helicopter was shot down, which was the largest loss in the history of naval special warfare, the largest one-day loss in the entire 20 years of war on terror, there was an air weapons team overhead that asked 7 times to take out fighters who were headed up the valley where the helicopter was going to come in and land, and they were denied every single time because of rules of engagement. And we were told as families in a debriefing that happened because we needed to win their hearts and minds. And so that military was putting hearts and minds of Afghan citizens above the life of my son and the 29 other Americans on that chopper that night. And that's completely unacceptable. And that's why I say Blue Star mothers across this nation will breathe a huge sigh of relief when somebody like Pete, who's actually been boots on the ground, wasn't making decisions back around white linen tablecloths with glasses of wine, talking about how the war will get fought. He's actually been there. He's seen evil face to face, not through memos and notes, and he will lead completely differently than anybody else has led. You know, he's like the leaders of old, right? That actually were involved in the war. And so, you know, and one other thing, can anybody tell me how a Republican could vote to bring in leadership, to vote to confirm men who wore dresses with the Biden administration, but they're not going to vote in Pete?
We've been talking about that. Yeah. I mean, men in dresses, men who are pretending to be women, it doesn't matter. They're qualified, and yet
right. Republicans can vote for them, can confirm them, but they can't confirm Pete. Are you just and by the way, I plan to be at the confirmation hearing. Pete has invited me to be there and sit behind him, and I will be there. And if I have an opportunity to get loud, I will.
Get it. Yep. I mean, they're going to have witnesses. I know that. I mean, that's what they generally do. Have you been called for that? I
have not, but Pete has invited me. So hopefully,
that's good.
Hopefully I'll get a chance to have my voice heard as well. I hope so.
Yeah, we always call this administration, the current administration, the DEI administration, right? This is the DEI, and look at how big of a mess everything is,
including our military.
Yes,
so
especially our military.
Our military has become a social experiment.
Right, exactly.
What in the world? We're supposed to, like Pete says, and people have criticized him for saying we're supposed to execute lethality. And people were like, I don't want to hear that. Oh my God.
Oh no.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
What do you think the military is for? It's not a nonprofit organization that's supposed to be doing, they're supposed to defend and protect us. And, you know, we have gotten so soft. You know, I don't know if you've ever had Eddie Gallagher on your show or you know Eddie Gallagher's story, but Eddie was one of Aaron's best friends. They lived together in San Diego. And when I watched that debacle take place, I literally felt like I was going to vomit every day that Eddie was incarcerated. I felt every day that he was held captive. I literally woke up thinking, what have we become? Because we had conversations with he and Andrea long before they actually arrested him, when all the rumoring started, and we were out in San Diego visiting them, and he was saying, and he said these things. He said, these are not the same guys that your son was. This is not the same military that your son fought in. This is not what Aaron knew. There are no men left like Aaron. They're few and far between. People who just know that it's about getting the job done. You know, it had all become about kindness and humility, and that's not who I want defending me. I want somebody who will freaking kill the enemy. That's what I want.
That's the whole point of it.
Feel no shame about it. So I'm sorry.
That's the whole point. No. This is exactly like it's what needs to be said. It's what the election was about. This is what we voted for.
That's right.
Swift change across the board. Doesn't matter what department, doesn't matter what level. And Pete's going to be a part of that, like Kash Patel is with the FBI.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You know, I mean, this is what we voted for. So make no apologies about any of it. This is what we want. This is what the American people resoundingly voted for. Thank God.
And I know I keep hearing this all over the place, but we are so back, right? I mean,
I know.
Can you imagine how that feels to someone like me to have watched our country do what it did? I literally had to question. I used to say all the time, unashamedly, I used to say this in my speeches. People have asked me, was it worth it? Was America worth it? And I used to say, absolutely, unequivocally, yes, America was worth it. Well, guess what? I questioned that a lot in the last 4 years. I questioned that a lot. Were you worth it? Were you worth me giving up my only son, my firstborn child? I don't think so. And now I feel again like America has finally spoken, and they finally reflected the nation that my son gave his life for. That from a little child, he wanted to fight for and was completely willing to die. Always told me, Mom, if I die young, I pray that it's in battle doing harm to the enemy. Always. That was who he was. And finally, this nation is once again a reflection of that spirit, that, you know, freaking let's roll, you know, spirit that came out of 9/11, you know, where, and that's what caused him, but we found out later that's what caused him to do what he did. It was when Todd Beamer said those words. We started hearing those recorded phone calls, and he told us later that's what did it, because there it was, that indomitable spirit of every patriot whose bloodstained boots have paved the pathway of freedom. Let's roll. If not us, who? If not now, when? That's what caused him to move forward, even though it made no sense.
And the year was 2011, right? You said,
right, 2011.
And so we know the administration at the time. So so yeah, when you have the wrong administration in,
weak leadership,
let's face it, the military is stronger. And I'm just going to say it. The military is stronger when there was a Republican at the helm. Because that's first and foremost to protect this nation. And while we're protecting this nation, we're protecting our soldiers that we send to other areas.
Don't worry about it. We all have
where we send
they're nut jobs, but they're great.
And I'm telling you, President Trump is that guy. Pete Hegseth is that guy. And there's many people in this administration that is going to make this military what it once was and get it back to where we were respected. Where our young sons and daughters feel pride again for our country and fighting for our country.
I don't think, there were several people in the military, key people whose names you would recognize, that came up to us and said, I got out after extortion. I got out because I didn't join to die. I joined to fight. They knew they had been sacrificed. They knew they had been sacrificed to an ideology that the Obama administration implemented. And, Billy and I ended up having a voice in this nation primarily because we were just two parents sitting at home who were like, there's something very wrong with this. We had been given a disc at a debriefing that we were invited to at DAMNEC. And we printed out 1,250 pages of testimony of what happened that night. And we were dumbfounded and furious when we started reading the way we were operating. So we started investigating the COIN strategy, the counterinsurgency strategy. And we started trying to see where its roots were and what rules had been, layered upon layered upon layered. And we were just outraged. We found out, we landed on this little page I did one day in the office called iCasualties.org. And I found out that in the first 6.5 years of war in Afghanistan, and there were some fierce years in there, we had lost 630 U.S. forces. In the next 3.5 years under the COIN strategy, we had lost 1,800, 3 times as many in half the time because of the COIN strategy. The wounded in action numbers went from 2,348 wounded in action in the first 7.5 years to almost 21,000 in the next 3.5 years. Nobody was talking about it. So we went to Congress. That's how the conversation about rules of engagement got started. We were just like begging to have our words heard. And, finally Donald Trump invited us to sit down and talk with him before the 2016 election. And that's how I ended up doing surrogate work for him. And Billy did as well, because we're like, this has got to stop. Rules, you're not, because what had been happening up until that point, and forgive me if I'm talking too much.
Not at all.
What had been happening up to that point is that you couldn't talk about anything the military did because they were above reproach. And so it was a very difficult position for a family who really loves and honors the military with everything in us. We love it so much that our son wanted to be a part of it, join it, and die in its midst, And then one day, it was really hard to start asking these questions about the decisions that military leaders were making. But one day my husband looked at me and he said, Karen, if somebody you love has cancer and there's a tumor that you can remove that will make them well, do you cut the tumor out? Or do you leave it there out of love for them because you don't want to create an incision on their, but you cut it out. You have to start realizing that there are very bad actors inside the military, that in general, yes, people are noble and good men and women who serve in America's military. But we started understanding that there were some very bad characters in there who were nothing more than politicians and warmongers, frankly. And so we started talking about it openly. And I remember, if you go back and you do any Google searches, you will not hear rules of engagement even talked about in a general public forum before 2015, when we started saying, this has got to be a national conversation. I'm not saying there were a lot of people that came alongside us and started doing it too. But when we brought those numbers before Congress, it was Louis Gohmert. I love Louis Gohmert. I wish he was still there. We took numbers to him in 2012. And my husband and I were laying in a hotel room the next morning, and it was the Republican National Convention in Tampa in 2012. And we asked for a meeting with Louis, got it, and we showed him those numbers that I just mentioned to you. Yeah. And he couldn't believe it. And so he goes back and he asks his staff to research and see if we're telling the truth. And so the next morning, Billy and I are laying in a hotel room, and we turn on Fox News and we see Louis on there talking about meeting us the day before. And that's how the whole thing started with us, like doing Fox interviews and things like that, because we were actually finding out information that nobody else was aware of. That was just being slid under the rug, you know, and people were dying. It wasn't like people were losing homes or people were, you know, going hungry. They were dying because of this.
Wow.
So,
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So next for you, I guess, is going to the hearings.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
It's going to be, excuse my language, a shit show from the Democrats. That's for sure.
It will. Because Republicans never defend their own.
Yeah, correct. And
all they need are the Republicans.
Yeah, that's all they need. I'm praying for a few level-headed Democrats to do the right thing.
Me too.
You know, the funny thing about it is the voice,
which I would never think Fetterman and level-headed, but for some reason,
he's the voice of reason right now.
I feel so bad because I was making so much fun of Pennsylvania.
Us too.
And then now he ends up being one of the most level-headed people.
I know. Yeah.
I think he's going to get. I think he's going to get a few more. I think he's going to get maybe 2, 3 Democrats.
And then what I hope is that every Republican who doesn't vote for him gets primaried right out.
Primaried out.
They better be careful. That's all I got to say.
This will weed them out. I mean, they got to understand.
The masses who, you know, 77 million who voted for Donald Trump and for a change, they're going to be coming for you too. And I've already seen lots of people in my social media platforms promising that they're going to get involved with millions and millions and millions of dollars in these primaries if these people vote the wrong way.
Well, Joni Ernst was absolutely not. And now she is absolutely yes. So it's once you meet with him, it seems
so. She needed to be. I mean, or else they go the way of Liz Cheney.
That's right.
That's what we do. That's what Republicans do. That's what true. And I don't even want to say Republicans because conservatives do
right
at that point. So
because Mitch McConnell needs to go too. So.
Well, that's another. It's another show.
It is like the land of the Walking Dead up there. I mean, seriously, how can we be taken seriously?
I know.
People are around having complete blackouts. I mean, I love him, but look at Joe Biden. Can you believe this? This man hasn't been our president for 1.5 years or 2 years.
Yeah,
and he's still just a place card, a placeholder.
And like you said, God bless him. I don't want anything to happen to him, but for the love of God,
right?
You know,
stop it.
You know, the whole Africa.
Don't leave the Bulls and go play for the Wizards like Michael Jordan. You know, just retire.
Right. And don't get me started on Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, he's embarrassed us on the world stage plenty of times. But this Angola, when he went to Africa, that was just
unbelievable.
That was, as an American, I was embarrassed. I was completely embarrassed about the whole thing.
No, 100%. You and everybody else who loves this country. And if you say you aren't, you're a liar.
Yep.
You're a liar.
Correct.
Absolutely. Karen, will you tell us again how people can get a hold of your organization and help or join or whatever they need to do to help you out?
We look for donations, of course, to keep this thing running, but we really need mentors. So if you would like to come down, you know, once a year and mentor these Gold Star children, I promise you will walk away saying that was one of the best weekends of my life. It's a beautiful thing to do. So just look up op300.org, or you can just Google Operation 300 and find it. We're everywhere. Look, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everything. Really, we don't do much of a Twitter presence because we're not, we try not to be political.
I know.
Political war.
I know.
I had gotten off Twitter for a long time and I joined it again. I got back involved to just speak out for Pete and get involved in the movement that was happening. And I wrote my friend and I said, God, I forgot how fun Twitter was. I was called an effing retard.
Oh, of course. He never fails.
Things. I'm like, I forgot how much fun this was. Where is it?
I know. I know. It's like
Yeah,
YouTube,
it's-
it just, the comments we get from YouTube and everywhere. It's just like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. That's actually how I reached out to you. You were probably thinking, who's this lunatic? But that's how
Yeah.
on X, I think I messaged you and all that. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, but it's fun. Yeah. You get,
Yeah.
boy, the
It's
names you
funny.
get called, it's
I had to
crazy.
get thick skin a long time ago. Thankfully,
I know. Yeah, I know.
I know who I am, and nobody gets to tell me. So that's
That's right.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole
Yeah.
point.
Yep.
Is who
Yep.
those individuals, when we ask them to debate us all the time,
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not.
all they keep doing is
Argue
calling
a
us
point.
racist. They
All
call
they've
us
got is
racist.
nasty words. They don't have an argument. They just have
No.
nasty words. That's
No.
it, because they're not intelligent. It's
When
all
you hover around your mom's basement on the keyboard, that's what you end up
exactly
doing.
doing
That's
God
just-
knows what down there.
That's right.
We don't want to. We don't want to know. We don't.
No.
Karen, will you come back after the hearings? I mean, I would
I
love
would
to
love
hear
to.
That would be
some of
great.
the
Yeah.
stuff you're allowed
Yeah.
to tell us after that. But
Yeah.
if we can stay in touch, and we'll push people to op300.org and
Mhm.
Thank you.
see if people can come down there. With so many people we know in Florida. I live in Florida up in the Panhandle, but we have so many people that we know, and we deal with an organization called the Warrior Shield Foundation.
Sure. I'm
Um,
aware.
and
Mhm.
yeah,
No, you
and
are.
they they have an event every September down in Orlando. They raise money for organizations.
Mhm.
So that's who they are. And it's an incredible
Yep.
organization, incredible people. And we'll reach out to them, see if we can all get involved. And it's all one goal, one family, at
That's
this
right.
point. So
That's right. The
Um,
least to
and-
go, those who gave their lives on the battlefield, is to take care of their widows and children.
you
The
got
least
that
to
right.
go.
Absolutely,
Yep,
100%.
you got that right. From Jim and I, we both thank you again.
Yeah, God bless.
We thank your
you.
son Aaron. What a tremendous story! I'm so glad you told it. I feel like I know him now, and that means a lot to us. God bless you and your family, and we'll as soon as you can come back after, we'd love to have you back, or anytime. Anything we can do to help you out.
I look
Yep.
forward to it, gentlemen.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you very
right,
much.
thanks, Karen. You have a great day.
You too.
All right, talk to you
Bye-bye.
soon.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Man, I'm telling you, you got it, Jim. Jeez,
Great
what an
story.
incredible human, right? And just the fact that the story about Aaron, and can you imagine? I mean,
His
I
was
understand
gonna
I'm
be
not
somewhat
Aaron's age, but
disabled.
basically,
I
have
had
no
two
bone in
healthier
your knee.
knees, and I couldn't have lasted 30 minutes then.
I couldn't have lasted 30 minutes either. That was absolutely incredible.
Great
And,
story. Great.
yeah, sorry if we didn't get to any comments there. I really apologize.
There
but
were a
we-
few here.
Yeah, go ahead, and then we'll
you know,
move on.
Jonah, hope you're feeling
Uh,
better, sir. Hope you're
Yeah. Hope you are. Yeah.
thanks, shipmate.
Thank you, sir.
Fellow
Mhm.
service and their sacrifice.
Yep.
Buckeye as usual.
Yep. Thank you for putting that
put
up
that
there,
up there.
Buckeye. Good to see you.
And when
today.
we were talking about Pete Hegseth, Jonah, that out damn standing.
Yep.
Great gear. Absolutely. He is
Yep, Rich.
the
Mhm.
man for the job. Aiken McGrawan agreed.
Yep. Without a
and
doubt.
then this is what I like.
We need to possibly do a shirt honoring the 30 Patriots. I think 100% we should.
Yeah.
Absolutely 100%. I say we, but by you, Rich, but 100% we should do that. And then we can, we'll get a hold of Karen, and we can make those arrangements, because that would be probably very much appreciated.
Yeah.
And boy, what an honor to him. So Rich always with he just knows.
Always
He just
spot
knows.
on.
He just
Always
knows.
spot on.
Speaking of that, Jim, why don't we
Yep.
hear from Rick Gare real quick, and then we'll be
Yes.
back. We got more show to do. So stay
Fun
tuned.
stuff to
and
talk about.
Yeah.
Aliens in our midst.
Aliens, yeah. Or airplanes. We'll get into that in a minute.
Whatever.
Hold on.
Grit is defined as firmness of character, unyielding courage in the face of hardship or danger. At Grit Gear Apparel, we honor all military, police, fire, public service, and patriotic Americans, both men and women regardless of color, creed, or religion. Our brand represents the love and freedom for our country, the heroism of all our men and women, and the principles of what this wonderful country was built on. Our goal is to regenerate the sense of patriotism and to spark the American pride within us, to stand together in the toughest times and become victorious, to preserve all our freedoms, to honor our flag, and to respect the men and women who have fought and died for us to have these freedoms. Wear our brand with pride, with a sense of patriotism, and as a statement for the love of our country. Whether you're military, public official, or civilian, our brand is for you. Together we stand as Americans.
We do
Agreed.
stand as Americans.
Agreed. By the way. Yeah.
You agree? Yep.
Yeah.
We do stand as Americans. Lockandloadcoffee.com, gritgearapparel.com. Please, folks. I'll talk about Rich a little bit later, but please go support them. As you know, and as those who have watched the show, and when Rich is filled in, you know him personally now. You know who he is, and he is a true Christian, God-fearing, great American. Thank you, Grit Gear. Good to see you too. Love you too, both you and Sharon. We'll talk later a little bit about that. But please, Grit Gear Apparel, Lock and Load Coffee, go support them. Guess what, guys?
Don't forget the code.
Two guys.
Code 2 guys, and you get 10% off every order now. Not just
every order now.
Yep.
Rich is, I'm telling you, the guy knows what he's doing. You get 10% off every order. That includes on Lock and Load Coffee and Grit Gear. So keep purchasing, keep helping them out.
And keep putting that 2 guys code.
Yep. Maybe not too late to get the Christmas gifts in there. So just, go ahead and do it, and we'll be fine. So,
Rich, in case you're seeing this, Buckeye is getting an error code on
your website.
I'm assuming that's when
you put the code in.
Or so.
Yeah. Rich, maybe have Sharon look at that. You're probably beyond your pay scale. Love you, dude. Anyways, Jim, let's get into some of this real quick. Obviously I haven't been paying attention to much in the past week or so, and all of a sudden we're being invaded by, I don't know, right? Like people have talked about it. It's been on the news every day. I was not paying attention to hardly any news, but so I'm not as familiar with the whole drone stuff. I don't know what's going on out there.
No one does.
Well, somebody does, right? We got SUV sized drones flying over New Jersey.
They know.
Yeah. What is happening? So Jim, tell us a little bit about this. What do you think about this whole drone thing? We have a couple of videos to play.
Well, first, we first hear about it's over President-elect Trump's golf course in New Jersey. Right? Okay, so it's over there. Now that draws questions and concerns because of what these drones can carry.
Correct.
Okay. Anyway,
not just
then
Amazon
we hear
packers.
about over some military installations. One of these drones flew over.
Look, can I put this up here real quick?
Yeah.
In answer to Buckeye. Nope, Shopify's having a problem. I'm working on it. Thank you, Rich. So there you go, Buckeye, and everybody out there. Doesn't surprise me. My daughter also uses Shopify for her business and has had issues like this. So thank you. But go on. Sorry, Jim.
And then it buzzed a Coast Guard ship.
Yeah.
Coast Guard. And they're not able to shoot it down.
Is it?
Now they're telling us they don't want to shoot it down because now, remember a couple weeks ago they said, "Oh, there's no concern here, guys. No concern.
There's nothing to see." Yeah,
they don't know who's it from. Oh, is it my favorite one? Is it a foreign entity? No.
Yeah. Oh no. Well,
that's exactly what. No. Oh
no.
What is it?
And what is it?
We kind of want. I don't need to know everything.
I don't either.
Give me something. I mean, and so because especially if it's flying over our president, with whatever payloads these can carry, we know they can carry something, right?
Correct.
And so we go into all of this stuff, and then we have governors coming on now, saying they're not satisfied with it. The FAA and all this is telling them, and so folks, I always love this administration. Stop with the conspiracy theories. Stop. Well, don't make us have them. When you're not answering questions from people concerned, there are people concerned. You're going to start seeing people with shotguns out there shooting these things down if they get too low.
You got that.
Wayne even, I don't know if you heard Wayne on our last episode. Wayne said he'll shoot the damn thing down if it's over.
Of course. Yeah,
and
they come
so
flying
we
over
don't
here.
Need people with shotguns going on there shooting up in the air.
But we will.
But we will, because they don't know what it is. Now they don't want to shoot him down.
And how do
now
they
the government
not know?
Well,
Huh?
now the government doesn't want to shoot him down, Dale, because they don't know what's on him, and it could be harmful. They don't want to
It could
even
be harmful. Yeah, they're going to call out bomb squads and chemical, hazmat if you shoot them down. What makes you? Why are you saying that? They only draw us to conclusions again that this is some sort of.
Thank you.
And it's our government. It's got to be 100% our government. There's no way it's not. So then that leads me to, is there some sort of, are they releasing chemical? Is there going to be some sort of pandemic, right? Shit, I don't know. I mean, you say, nothing against New Jersey, okay? I listen, I've been there, some of it's fine. But, if you're starting to spread some chemicals, would you notice in New Jersey if there's some crap falling from the sky? I mean, I don't know. Is that a concern? Of course it is.
We need
I put
answers.
nothing past them. They created a pandemic in a lab. I put no. They
No, it
completely.
was not. It was the food in that market that people were
It was
eating.
the fact, right? Yeah. And they created all these hoaxes and the Russian hoax, and they stole an election in 2020. I mean, there's nothing I put past the Democrats. Not Biden. He's too freaking gone.
Yeah, he's
even
gone.
Think about
Right.
this. I'm certain they probably never even ran it past him. It's not even him.
The funny thing is this. We always talk about how this election sent a message.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Most importantly, folks, I think it sent a message to former President Obama.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're done.
You're done.
Okay.
You're done. Clintons. You're done.
Constant
Obamas.
race
You're
baiting.
done. Bushes. You're done.
Yep.
They're done.
You're constant race baiting. You're constant just making us look stupid, talking
Correct.
down to your own people.
Yeah.
They had enough.
And
now we're moving forward with a guy who we believe he may not be perfect. As we talked, he is not a perfect person, but he is perfect for the job right now.
Just like every person he's put in his cabinet. They certainly aren't. They
I
might not
kind
be
of like
perfect.
I'm liking the Doge.
I am too.
I'm liking the Kash Patel. I'm liking Pete Hegseth. Tulsi
like
Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard. I'm great with RFK. The guy knows.
Huh? Elise Stefanik is going to be huge.
Yep.
Probably better than Nikki Haley, possibly, which I do think Nikki Haley did a pretty good job when she was a UN ambassador.
Stefanik will.
I think Stefanik is going to be much, much better.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So Kimberly Guilfoyle as ambassador to Greece.
Yeah.
Weird choice.
Very weird.
But when you look at, she has
maybe they're just trying to get her out of the country.
She has qualifications to be. I mean, an attorney. She's had a storied career, but it's just a weird choice to me. But that's okay. It's an ambassador.
It's Greece.
I mean, whatever. Again, not saying anything about any country or anybody. It's Greece. So,
but there's a chance two guys could be ambassadors somewhere. Wouldn't that be awesome? Lebanon.
Yeah, that'd be us. And we have to go there. I mean, like, stay there. That's where we got to be. So,
no, don't have to stay in their home states. Why do we have to stay in the country?
I know, but we be forced to. Our good friend Adam Kinzinger. The January 6th hoaxed rhino, Trump hating, crybaby Republican. Well, here's what his thoughts were on the drones.
Insane, folks.
This guy's lost all his capabilities to think logically. Trust me. Here it is.
I can see the lighting on it. And if there are drones out there, by the way, and if any of these pictures that they have shown are
I got to start.
What I'm hearing from FBI is we don't see a threat here. And look, honestly, every video I've seen, and I've spent the last couple of days looking at every one of these videos, every video I have seen on Twitter or on the internet are all airplanes.
Got to pause it.
I'm sorry.
First of all, drone expert Adam Kinzinger thinks that they're airplanes because he spent the last couple of days looking at every video. I mean, that clearly looks like an airplane. Now listen
go
ahead.
and with CNN, I mean,
you see the pushback he's getting, right, from this.
yeah, they love it.
Yeah,
She's
look at
sleeping.
the pushback.
I mean,
But she's thinking. I could just clearly see now that she is thinking, this guy's Looney Tunes, man.
this isn't an airplane.
They've admitted they're drones. People have footage of them being drones. This guy says they're airplanes. And why are they hovering? Well, he's about to tell you.
They're literally all airplanes. Some of them will show an airplane that's kind of stable out there and says that's a drone. And actually, it's an airplane flying towards you at 30,000 feet. And I can see the lighting on it. And if there are drones out there, by the way, and if any of these pictures that they have shown are actual drones, these drones then are complying with FAA lighting requirements, a green on the right, a red on the left with a strobe. And so it's not Iran, it's not aliens if there are drones. My guess is if there are drones, again, because again, all I've seen are airplanes, then it is more than likely some company that's out testing drones or something like that and has no requirement to tell the public that they're doing it because they're actually operating these things legally. There have been no accusations of illegal operations. By the way, as a pilot myself, I can fly over a military base whenever I want. Those restrictions don't exist. So I think there's a lot of mass hysteria, and I've heard stories of people.
Okay. I am not sure that is correct.
Me too.
You can fly over a military base without.
No. And so here's my story. So I'll tell you before you even hit play.
Yeah.
Last Christmas, we get our kids drones, right? Okay. Really nice ones. Like we're talking amazing drones. And we go out front and we're about to take these things off. Whoops. We're not cleared because we're by the Eglin Air Force Base to fly this drone. It'll start to take off and says, and then it'll tell us a message like not cleared for flight, landing, in 10 seconds, and it'll come. It's crazy how good this drone is. What I'm saying is that there's many times where they are unable to fly it in this location because we're one in a flight pattern for our airport here, and two, because we're right on the base. So bullshit, Adam.
Yeah.
There's no way.
No.
He's not right. Go ahead. You get play.
Pointing lasers at these quote unquote drones, and then the drones' lights go off. Actually, let's be clear. I've been lased as a pilot before. You're supposed to turn off all your lights once you get lased so that they can't find you because it can actually damage your eyes.
Right.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of hysteria.
This
here.
lady. Oh, that's right. She knew that. She had no clue. She doesn't know what she's talking about. They're airplanes, folks. So that's all there is. But if there are drones and it's some company who's just testing them with, I mean, hell, it's a great marketing plan. It's a lot of attention, but I'd want them to know the name of my company. Hey, these are Dale's drones. Look how good they are. Buy
The
them.
administration admitted they were drones.
They are drones.
They just
It's
can't
not an
tell us
airplane.
whose they are.
Yeah, it's not. It's they just can't tell us whose they are.
And
It's a
it
bunch
could
of
be
bull
nothing,
crap.
folks. It
Mhm.
could be nothing.
It
It could be what he said. It could be
Yeah.
somebody testing. But
Mhm.
wouldn't they have been spoken to at this time? Wouldn't
Would we
you
not
have reached
know?
out to them and said,
Yeah.
"Hey, knock it off. You're upsetting."
Yeah.
Or why are you flying over the golf course when the president of the United States is there?
Mhm. Yep.
Just, I don't know.
So, guys, there's a lot of speculation. It's a lot of it. I truly believe it is our government. I truly do believe. And again, could it be a company? That theory's there. I'm not going to discredit that theory. It could technically be that. One, it's not from outer space. So I'm not against like the theory of UFOs and seeing. I'm not. There's Air Force pilots that have seen crap, and I can't explain it, so I can only trust them. I don't think these are them.
Look, I believe aliens are out there. Just look at Michael Moore. I'm just telling you. That guy's an alien.
He's an alien. And if you're an alien, you're about to be deported. So they
Yes.
probably should.
For all of you people out there that are going to ask me, yes, if there is an alien here illegally,
Mhm.
they need to go home.
Yeah. They need to go home. They need to go home now.
Just like E.T.
He
he had to go home.
Exactly. Jim, I want to touch on one more thing, and that's the fact that Trump took Georgie to the cleaners at ABC. George Stephanopoulos had to pay 15 million, 15 or 16, I heard.
15 million. ABC
15.
had to, well, ABC and George Stephanopoulos.
and had to pay 15
Or
million.
Snuffleupagus, whatever.
Or Snuffleupagus or whatever. How can ABC, which also hosts The View, how can they afford to stay in business at all? I mean, nobody's watching their channel. And secondly, they just keep paying out and paying out and paying out. I mean, is it
Remember what
not?
the administration he worked for was?
I do.
I did
mean,
not
he was the
have
one.
sexual relations with that woman.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Yes, I know that. And of course, I know George was he's a liar and all that.
Yep,
but
big time.
The fact that they just say it and they keep getting away and keep getting away. Here's Buckeye's got something to say. Sorry, aliens. Trump will find out.
Look what they did with the pyramids. I mean, that's
That's right. How'd those get there? Yeah, aliens. So, good one. Jim.
Always on it, Buckeye. Thank you.
Thank you. Always on it. But I think MSNBC is going to have to pay the same thing. I'm going to play this here. I guess they didn't learn their lesson, about this whole Trump is a rapist thing. So hold on.
It has a real chilling effect. Shout out to the standards department. Okay, standards is always making sure that we are keeping the bar high and substantive and accurate. But what George Stephanopoulos said in that interview, it seems to hold up with what the judge said after the fact. And now his news organization and himself, George Stephanopoulos himself, is paying $1 million of his own money to the lawyers, and ABC $15 million. It's insane.
What are you saying? Like, you're about to pay up yourself. I mean, just like they aren't going to learn. They just aren't going to learn. Now, thank God, I don't know who that is, or that nobody's watching that channel. So odds are they'll probably have to pay Trump $1.50. That's what they're worth.
Everybody is making fun of MSNBC and CNN with the latest ratings that came through.
Correct.
The Hallmark Channel is beating them.
And it is Christmas.
The Cooking Channel is beating them.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to add some things though. Right now, the Hallmark Channel has the Christmas movies on, so that's a very popular channel during this time of year. So we'll give them that.
Don't knock
them. The baking challenge actually has a baking challenge of Harry Potter with the cakes of Harry Potter. So that's possibly why the show Food Network is going up. But folks, when a Food Network
beat a news network like this,
when a Food Network and a Hallmark Channel outrates you in the key demographic 25 to 40, it's time to close your doors or
change your tune.
Maybe not have that woman on.
Exactly.
And repeating what the $15 million lawsuit that ABC just had to pay out.
The only reason CNN has any viewership is because of Scott Jennings. That's it. There's no other. They'd be out of business right now too. That's the only reason, is because they put him out and they keep putting him on because they know what the people want. It's unbelievable. Who's this? Simone Sanders is who it was. Simone Sanders. That is who it was. I got to be honest with you. I'm not a big knower of who she really is and her thoughts. And I appreciate it, Buckeye, for putting it up there. But I'm going to do as little research into Simone Sanders as possible. That's all I'm saying.
But the key, and here's where MSNBC is in trouble. All right. Rachel Maddow has always been their number one person. She is the reason most people tune in, right?
Yes, he is.
She's down 46%.
Yes, he is.
46% of your top show.
Yeah. Wow. So now there's only 5.4 people watching every hour.
Joe is getting crushed by their own side. Okay, because they met with President Trump. How dare them? Well, the reason why they're saying that is, how could you possibly call him a racist and a white supremacist, all of these things, and then meet with him?
Because they don't want to pay the $15 million like Georgie did.
Well, I understand that, but that's a good point.
Yeah.
But that's your fault for buying the shit.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Yes, Jonah, you're right.
Yeah, go on. Put a couple of those up there. And
Yes,
Maddow's a
Maddow.
very handsome young man. You know,
Young
she was
man.
very pretty in high school. If you've seen the picture of Rachel Maddow, was a Kamala Harris spokesman at one time. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, of course.
Well, see,
of
Buckeye's
course.
on
Thank
it.
you, Buck. I know. That's why. I mean, I don't know why she just doesn't come on and we do like 2 guys, 1 girl, and a coup. You know, I mean, it's like,
Because
of
she doesn't want
course.
to be seen with us. She likes being in the
well,
background.
I don't blame you that. Then many people don't. Most people don't. So,
But folks, it's,
yeah.
anyway,
It's nuts.
what it's showing
nuts.
is we have got to get to January 20th, right? We got to
Yes,
get
we
there
do.
fast.
Can't
And
come
who knows
fast
what the hell.
enough.
And folks, don't pay no. Okay,
We got a
all
big
these
interview that
decisions-
day too, by the way. Inauguration
all
day.
these decisions that are being made
Mm-hmm.
by this administration right now,
Yeah.
is putting us as a country in jeopardy.
Mhm.
And make no mistake about it, they're making things harder for President Trump when he steps in.
Yep.
So
they
what
are.
President Trump is doing now, by meeting with key foreign dignitaries, by meeting with business people in the
by
United
gaining
States,
respect
he's
across
countering
the world.
any of this stuff.
That he is.
He is countering all of these moves that they're making
Yep.
because he sees it. He sees that they're going to try to bring the economy down. They're going to try to
Correct.
do this. They're going to try to see what happens. People don't want
Yep.
President Trump in there, which is
Correct.
not correct. And oh, by
Not
the way,
correct at all.
inflation went up again for the third straight month.
It did. It did.
Just-
Yep. Yep. I did see that.
But it was working.
It was working. It was working. Yeah. Yeah. Build back better.
That's right.
Build back better, brother.
Yeah.
So, Jim, do you mind if I take a few minutes here to kind of
The floor is yours.
well, I mean, you're more than welcome to chime in. I'm just like saying, you know, if you don't mind. First of all, I want to thank you and Rich last week. Not just for filling in and not for taking charge, but for the kind words that you've given me and my family, and what they meant to me and my family last week.
Well, you are our family too.
And likewise to both you and Rich and Sharon and your family and all that. And it's and so many comments and prayers and all that. And it was super, super appreciated. Just briefly,
your Uncle Dale.
Huh? Yeah.
Your Uncle Dale.
I know, for the love of God. And sometimes they call me dad. I don't get it.
Well, Lori, when she talks about her husband, she says Dale. I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't get it.
I don't understand. I'm just like, who is this guy? Anyway, so they last week had an emergency. Actually a week ago, this past Thursday. So my father got ill at home and wasn't feeling well, and they stay with us during the winter, as you know, and took him to the emergency room, and it was determined there that he had what was called a peritoneal bleed. I'm Googling it. My wife knew. I think, of course, that's her industry. But it was just a bleed. It was like a bleed, internal bleed around the kidney area, right? He was complaining of some back pain, leg pain, and shoulder pain, which oddly enough is a sign of that. Didn't know that till after the fact. But anyways, took him there. And they diagnosed him. They transferred him to another hospital and started running tests, and things were just bleak, not looking good. Was put on a ventilator, and then unfortunately this past Thursday passed away at 12 at 6:15 in the evening. He passed away Thursday, and that's one of the toughest things I've ever gone through in my life. He's my hero, always will be, raised me to be who I am. And so I started reflecting on it, as you do. You reflect on everything in your whole family and your life. And my mother's still here and how she's going to go through it. Of course, we're here to help. And I could not have done this without my wife by my side. And she was there by my side, awake for 3 straight days, holding his hand, taking care of him right up until the end, which is some of the toughest thing you'll ever see in your life. And I'm sure people out there, many people experience this. This is not, just me at all, but without her, couldn't have done it and would never do it. So she is my rock, and I love her and I thank her for that. But anyway, so I started thinking, what made my dad who he is, and what made me who I am. I mean, he was I remember 5 years old, he's holding me in his lap because I was afraid I was getting my tonsils out. I remember that moment. I remember growing up, he threw, the first ball I ever threw in my life was with my dad. He taught me, riding a bike to you name it. I worked with him, climbed 60 foot up on ladders with him. I've done, you name it. He's made me who I am, both work ethic, father, human, both good and bad. I can get angry, but I love everybody and I try to humor everybody as much as I can because laughter is really the key to life to me. So, and he taught me that. And he also directed me towards my political beliefs. He was the first person I ever listened to the Rush Limbaugh show with. And from that point on, we were hooked and we listened to it every day. And that's how I got involved really into politics at that time. Knew nothing about it as much. But Rush, I think of my dad. I think of Rush Limbaugh. I think of Rush Limbaugh. I think of my dad. I mean, it's just bizarre. It's like one and the same to me. And so it's been tough, and it's been a tough loss for our family. And I don't obviously wish that on anybody. But he went out peacefully, and he went out with me and my wife by his side, holding his hand. And I would have it no other way in life than that. But he kind of reminded me of, when I think about him, I think of baseball. I do. I think of the sport of baseball. His love for baseball, his love for sports in general, but specifically baseball, and him throwing the ball to me and him coaching me growing up my entire life. So I just wrote down some things I just want to say, kind of a little analogy. I don't have it memorized, so I will be looking over here to my screen. But when I think of this stuff, I think of that. So my dad is like the game of baseball, timeless, steady, and full of hidden beauty and profound life lessons. He's the pitcher, standing tall on the mound of life, carefully delivering wisdom, advice, and opportunities with precision. Some days it was a fastball of tough love, helping me face hard truths. Other times it was a gentle curveball of humor or encouragement, reminding me to stay humble, flexible, and ready for life's surprises. It's a hard one to get through, so I'm sorry. Give me a minute, man. Sorry. Didn't want to do this. Okay. And when it felt like I was taking too many swings and missed, he was right there, a steady presence telling me it's okay, you'll get the next one. But my dad was more than a pitcher. He was also the catcher, the one who was always in my corner, ready to receive whatever I threw his way. Whether it was my doubts, fears, triumphs, he signaled back with unwavering support, reminding me he was always paying attention and always in the game. But more importantly, my dad was the coach, standing in the dugout, offering quiet wisdom, knowing when to let me take my swing and when to call for a timeout to help me regroup. Dad was like the infield dirt, rugged, reliable, and grounding, the foundation I could count on. My dad was the outfield as well, giving me the space to chase my biggest dreams, even the ones that seemed just out of reach, cheering me on from afar as I helped for the impossible. My dad was also the crowd in the stands, the first to cheer when I hit a home run, his pride evident in every clap and smile, and he's the reassuring voice when I struck out, reminding me that even the best players fail sometimes. See, baseball is a game of patience, strategy, and heart, qualities my dad lived every day. He taught me, like the game, that life isn't about perfection, but about perseverance, showing up and finding joy in the journey. And just as every game is made up of countless small moments, a perfectly executed bunt, a stolen base, a catch against the wall, my dad showed me how to appreciate the beauty in the little things. In his way, his perfect way, Dad made me see that life, like baseball, is at its best when it's played with passion, humility, and love. Thank you for indulging me in that. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, everybody, for the love out there. And Coach.
What did I warn you before?
You're going to, Coach, you're going to be missed, my friend. You're going to be missed. My hero, our biggest fan. We'll see you all on Wednesday.